What's good, YouTube? It is your boy Camz. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Welcome to our first ever mock draft that's happening here today. Really excited about this first one. This is the first one. We're gonna have two more happening before the draft happens. Second one should come up in a couple of days, and then the final one will be before the NFL draft. But with that being said, this one will be no trades. So this first one is just 1 through 32. The next mock draft we're gonna have some trades that's gonna happen, but then the final one is definitely the one that I truly believe how the draft's gonna work out. So without further ado, let's get into the video. With the first pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals will take Joe Burrow. That I just believe that Joe Burrow's the guy for them. They got Andy. They're getting rid of a lot of players. Andy Dalton, not his fault, but he's been a serviceable quarterback for them. But I think it's time for him to move on. I think it's time for that organization to move on from him. And having Joe Burrow there, I mean, they could do a veteran role with Andy Dalton, and that would be Dalton off the bench and teaching Joe Burrow his ways of doing it. That wouldn't be a bad backup quarterback to have. But I think Andy Dalton's gone from the team. Also, I had Joe Burrow going in the fourth round, so it's very interesting how well his his college play put him up on this list because nobody had him going this high at first. But yeah, that's enough for the Bengals. With the second pick, the Washington Redskins, my team, will select Chase Young. Here's why. Chase Young, we need him. Ryan Kerrigan's getting older. They might get rid. They might go and trade him. We know Trent Williams is going to get traded. We don't know when though, but I know he's going to get traded from this team. So with that being said, having Chase Young with Ron Rivera and new defensive schemes, Ron Rivera is a defensive coach. So that front seven that we have is going to be very deadly if they can work it out. Like go 2 and 2 together, because I believe this team going to do very well. We have Chase Young. I don't think we're going to make the playoffs, but I would not be shocked if we do make them. With the third pick, the Detroit Lions will select Jeffrey Okudah, cornerback from Ohio State. Jeff Okudah is going to be the Darius Slay replacement. The franchise secondary piece they have there. Darius Slay got traded to the Eagles, so you knew he wanted to get out of there in time, and they got rid of him. So they need a replacement. I think Jeff Okudah is going to be there. I also think they're going to trade this pick because they've been talking about it a lot. And they're going to trade back to let the team pick a quarterback. But they're going to get Jeffrey Okudah. That's the guy that they're going to take. With the fourth pick, the New York Giants will select, in my opinion, Mekhi Becton, the best tackle in the draft. They just need offensive line help for Daniel Jones. And if they help out Daniel Jones with that, I believe that team, because they have Willie Hernandez. Will Hernandez is a very good underrated guard for them. So if you have Mekhi Becton guarding the left side, have Daniel Jones blind side, then that team can do some things. With the fifth pick, the Miami Dolphins will select Tua Tagovailoa. With Tua, they have Ryan Fitzpatrick. They also have Josh Rosen. But I believe this is the pick they're going to make. They've been wanting to make, and they tanked for this guy. Now, with that being said, Tua's coming off that injury, but most of these quarterbacks have come off injuries. Drew Brees had came off injuries during the time as well when he started out his NFL career. Look where he's turned out to. So I don't say the injury concern is there, but I don't think it's going to affect Tua as much as people really think it's going to. But I believe this is the quarterback they will take. This is their franchise piece, and the Dolphins are moving in the right direction. This team's going to be scary in the next couple of seasons. With the sixth pick, the Los Angeles Chargers will select Justin Herbert. Now, With that being said, I believe that Justin Herbert is not the quarterback that I would want on my team, but that's for me. I don't like Justin Herbert's play. I believe that he's just going to be another type of Sam Bradford, quarterback from the Pac-12 who thinks they have talent but also doesn't have talent. I believe that he's not going to be pan out for them, but they have Tyrod Taylor there as well. They want to go with Tyrod. They say they want to go with Tyrod, but I know that the Chargers will not do that. They got rid of Phillip Rivers for a reason, so there's no point of not taking Justin Herbert there if they got the opportunity. With the 7th pick, the Carolina Panthers will find the Luke Kuechly replacement. They will draft Isaiah Simmons. Isaiah Simmons is a very great talent. One of the best he's the best linebacker in the draft. He just plays everywhere. He plays from safety to corner. You saw it everywhere in Clemson, and he's just going to be a very good asset for the Carolina Panthers for that defense to improve. With the 8th pick, the Arizona Cardinals would select Tristan Wirfs from Iowa. This guy can block for Kyler Murray. They need more offensive line help, and they're going to get it more later on in the draft. But having Tristan Wirfs at that moment of time will be very good to develop Kyler Murray and have him play very well. With the 9th pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars will select the best receiver in the draft. You can't argue this. People try to argue CeeDee Lamb being one of the best receivers in the draft. No, it's Jerry Jeudy. Here's why. Jerry Jeudy's played in the SEC. The SEC is one of the hardest divisions in college football. Division I football, to be exact. And him putting up those type of numbers with Tua at quarterback, and he's going against guys that are very good and cornerbacks that can stop him. He also practiced against very good safeties. He practiced against Xavier McKinney, who's also later in this draft. He practiced against a lot of good players. He had Henry Ruggs on his other side as well. Alabama was a scary team. They just didn't do well because Tua was injured. Jerry Jeudy's the best receiver, in my opinion. There's no way that he does not go past this far. With the next pick in the draft, I believe that this pick will be Andrew Thomas from Georgia for the Cleveland Browns. With Cleveland, they need offensive line help. They need to get rid of Cam Robinson, and blocking Baker Mayfield's left side would be very good for them. They just need offensive line help at this moment in time. They also need some linebackers as well because they got rid of Joe Sherbert. But the Cleveland Browns, if they get an offensive lineman, I think they'll be very fine. I don't think they'll make the playoffs right now, but Cleveland's just a team that's iffy because you don't know whether or not they want to rebuild or not again. So, with the 11th pick, the New York Jets will select CeeDee Lamb. This is a boomer bust pick. They got rid of Robbie Anderson. They need a player who can play like him. Deep threat type ball player, ball skills, can catch the ball a lot. CeeDee Lamb's the guy for them from Oklahoma. He just got it all. But I don't believe that Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb comparisons that y'all making are not accurate. Those are not accurate. CeeDee Lamb's the second best receiver. But it's close between CeeDee Lamb and Henry Ruggs. Not Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb. That's just not it. With the 12th pick, the Las Vegas Raiders will select Derrick Brown from Auburn. Huge steal right here for the Oakland Raiders. I mean, not Oakland. I keep thinking Oakland. They're Las Vegas now. The Las Vegas Raiders. Because Derrick Brown on the defensive line that they have there, you have him, Maurice Hurst, Arden Key if he can get healthy. You have a lot of good players on that defensive line. So adding Derrick Brown, switch it to a 4-3, have him and Hurst on one of the other sides, and that's just a deadly team. The 49ers traded DeForest Buckner for this pick for the Indianapolis Colts. And with that, they will select a receiver out of Alabama, Henry Ruggs. This is also a steal in my opinion because the 49ers traded up to get a player like Henry Ruggs. They needed him. They needed a type of player like him to play in the Super Bowl. They just didn't have enough power. They're starting to trade some assets as well, but I think they're going to go with Henry Ruggs with this selection. Now it is time for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're going to select Jedrek Wells from Alabama. Jedrek Wells played very good at Alabama. You know, he got some. The people say he has some flaws, but I see a very good offensive lineman who just fell because of all the good offensive line talent that we have in this draft. But having him block Tom Brady would be very good for them, and they need offensive line help as well. But they have Ali Marpet as well. They have Ali Marpet, and that's just a good dynamic duo with those two on the field. Next pick, it is the Denver Broncos. They will select Javon Kinlaw. Huge steal for the Denver Broncos here. The Broncos they have Drew Lock, but I believe they need to help that off that they'll go with offensive line help in later in this draft. There's a lot of good tackles. There are a lot of good guards later on. So getting Javon Kinlaw and beefing up that defense to make it one of like best as it was because they lost Derek Wolf. So having Javon Kinlaw there, you have Bradley Chubb, you have Von Miller, a veteran piece can add on to Javon Kinlaw's play style, and I believe this team can be very good this year. This is my sleeper. The Broncos are a sleeper team, in my opinion. I believe they'll make the playoffs. Next up, the Atlanta Falcons will select Kevlon Kaysen from LSU. I saw a very good promise from him in the playoffs. Also, because I watched a lot of LSU games because I'm an Auburn fan, so I wanted to see how good LSU really was. And Kevon and Kevlon, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but Casson, he's a very good defensive edge rusher. They lost Vic Beasley, so this is just a better Vic Beasley off the rip. So that's just a great pickup in my opinion. Next up, the Dallas Cowboys with their selection, they will draft a man out of LSU, Christian Fulton. With Fulton, I believe he's the second best cornerback in the draft. And I just don't think that the Cowboys can not get past a Byron Jones replacement. They have to replace him in the first round because Byron Jones was a very good talent. He was a very good player. It was either Byron Jones was leaving or Cooper was leaving, and that was a smart decision from the Cowboys to re-sign Amari Cooper. You know, I'm not the biggest Cowboys fan because I'm a Redskins fan, but that was a very good decision on their part to keep Amari Cooper because we wanted him. So it was very good to keep him. But Byron Jones was a very good talent for them. He's now on the Dolphins. The Dolphins don't need any more cornerbacks because they have Xavier Howard and now you have Byron Jones. That's a deadly combo. But with that being said, I think the Cowboys, this is just a good replacement for them. Good replacement pick. The next pickup, we're going to need offensive line help for Tua Tagovailoa. They're going to select Josh Jones from Houston. Very underrated. This is a boomer bust pick in my opinion because you don't know what's going to happen. Uh because he's very good. He's very not underrated, but that's just a big selection there. With the next pick in this draft, I believe it is Oakland. They will select T. Higgins out of Clemson because I believe T. Higgins is a talent that they're looking for. They're looking for a player who could play like a good position for them, and this will be very good because this will add another threat for Derek Carr to throw to. But this could also be the Jordan Love pick as well. Don't count that out. The next pick, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They will select Xavier McKinney from Alabama. With this pick, just add some secondary depth. Got Jerry Jeudy on one side. Now you get Xavier McKinney on the other. Xavier McKinney is a very underrated safety, in my opinion, because looking at his highlights, looking at his play style, he can fly to that ball instantly. So having him pick up at 20 is a good pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Next up, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. They will select Curtis Weaver from Boise State. I believe this might be a reach right here because people don't have him ranked as high, but Christian Weaver is a good selection for this team, for the Eagles. They need great depth, and they also have DeForest Buckner. They have Brandon Graham getting older. I said DeForest Buckner. I meant what's that dude name? I remember his face. It's the Derek Burnett. That's his name. But Christian Weaver is going to be a great asset for them. That's what I'm getting at. With the next pick, CJ Henderson will go to the Minneapolis, really? The Minnesota Vikings. CJ Henderson, good talent from Florida, good cornerback. Nothing else I can say there. That's just a good pickup for them. This is where I believe Jordan Love's going. I believe he's going to the New England Patriots. With this, they're not trusting Jarrett Stidham at that quarterback position. They have Brian Hoyer as the starting quarterback, but I believe this is the guy Belichick wants at this moment in time. And Jordan Love, I have him above Justin Herbert because Jordan Love is just, he got a cannon. He's just a good quarterback. But I truly believe that he's not going to go that far. Next up, we have the New Orleans Saints. They disappointed me last season. I wanted them to win the Super Bowl, but they just didn't pan out like I wanted them to. So they're going to get AJ Espinosa. Marcus Davenport is not panning out for them at this moment in time. And this would be a very good pickup on that defensive line. Cameron Jordan is getting older, but AJ Espinosa on the other side, you're going to have him rotate with Marcus Davenport and all them boys, and it's just going to be a good defensive pickup right there. Huge talent. Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings. They will select Jalen Reagor. I'm not too high on Jalen Reagor, but from what I've seen and what I think is going to happen in that case, he's just going to fall because he's an unproven talent, but I'm going off potential. He could be a Julio Jones type player, and it'll be very good to see how that works out. Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins. They will select Jonathan Taylor here. This will be the best. This is the best running back in the draft. He's going to fall to the Dolphins. The Dolphins now have Tua. They now have Jonathan Taylor in that backfield, and they have Josh Jones on that tackle position. Great pickups for the Dolphins. This will help out for their future. That's how I see this going. Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks. They will select Yetur Gross-Matos from Penn State. With this pickup right here, it's just more depth for the Seattle Seahawks. They need more defensive pressure on that defensive line, and I believe this will help them out in the long run. Next up, we have the Baltimore Ravens. They will select, with this pickup, Zach Bond. Zach Bond, haven't seen too much highlights from him, but from what I've seen and heard from my sources, he's been a very good player from Wisconsin, and this would just add more defensive presence on that defensive line for that big trust movement that they're making. I believe the Ravens going to have a little bit of a down season, but they're still going to make the playoffs, and I believe that they will have a good shot of making the of getting out that first round slump that they've been getting into. Next up, we have the Tennessee Titans. They will select Grant Delpit with this pickup from LSU. I originally had Grant Delpit in the top 10 at the beginning of the season, but he fell off a little bit. But he's still a good talent. You know, this season it wasn't his best body of work, I would say, but that is a great safety to pick up for the Titans. They need safety help, and that would just add on to better movement for them. Next up, Justin Jefferson falls to Aaron Rodgers and them boys. It's just a good selection for them. Having him fall all the way to the Packers is a steal for him, and it's also a steal for the Packers because he's an unproven talent, going off potential. He's got that high and grinds, that red zone threat that you like to have in the goal line. And I just think this is going to be a good pickup for the Packers. Next up, we have the San Francisco 49ers. They will select Neville Gallimore from Oklahoma. This is their DeForest Buckner replacement. And I believe this is going to be a good pickup for them. And next up, this might be the reach of the draft that I'm saying. But Cam Akers cannot be picked up here. They cannot sleep on Cam Akers. Cam Akers is the guy that I believe that's going to the Kansas City Chiefs, help out Damian Williams, and this will be just a good selection. This is a guy that I believe can do it all and save it all. And with that concludes our first mock draft 1.0. Thank you for watching this video. Hope it was enjoying. Like and subscribe for more content. We'll see you next time.